Before we dive into today's narrative, we'd like to ask you to check out a friend's new channel that's showcasing some incredibly crafted stories. You'll find the link in the description. Please take a moment to visit, subscribe, and join our ever-growing community. Now settle in as we unfold today's gripping tale. Logan had always been a physically imposing man, proud of his strength and size. Yet he never truly understood the heavy toll his lifestyle was taking on him until Brenda's worried words could no longer be ignored. He was confident in himself, even with his larger frame. But after Brenda lost two close friends to sudden heart attacks, her anxiety transformed into a deep, unyielding concern. "I can't keep watching you gamble with your health, Logan," she pleaded after yet another visit to the doctor. Her tone carried an edge of fear that he had never heard before. "I love you, but I can't bear the constant worry of losing you." For Brenda, the rules of their intimacy suddenly became non-negotiable. Only on very special occasions, on Valentine's Day, their wedding anniversary, and their birthdays, could they be close. "I need you to be here for me in the long run, healthy and strong," she insisted. At first, Logan saw these restrictions as a punishing reminder of his shortcomings, an endless list of failures. But as the months passed, something changed inside him. While his initial motivation had been simply to ease Brenda's concerns, he soon discovered a new sense of pride. His clothes began to fit better, his energy soared, and for the first time in years, he looked in the mirror without recoiling in disgust. 2 years later, Logan had shed an astonishing 118 pounds, bringing his weight down to 207 pounds. A new version of himself who was far healthier than he'd ever been. Yet with success, he also found himself drowning in the weight of discipline, the relentless pressure to maintain these changes, and the mental exhaustion that came with it. One quiet evening, while they sat together watching television in the living room, Logan broke the silence in a low, uncertain voice. "Brenda, I think I've reached my limit. It's so hard. I'm not sure I can keep pushing like this." Brenda paused the show, her eyes narrowing in confusion and hurt. "What exactly do you mean?" she asked, her tone unreadable. "I mean, I've lost the weight, yes, but it just never feels like enough. I'm tired, Brenda. 2 years of this relentless struggle, and I don't know if I can go on." Her face hardened as she exhaled slowly. "Logan, you made a promise. You promised me you'd stay healthy, and now you're talking about giving up?" Logan's voice trembled with a mix of exhaustion and vulnerability. "I'm not giving up. I just don't know how much longer I can keep up this fight." Then Brenda's eyes sparked with an intensity that turned the air cold. "You're not going to quit. Understand me. We can't risk jeopardizing everything. If you stop working on taking care of yourself, then I can't keep up either. You must see that this isn't just about weight. It's about our future together." Logan blinked in confusion. "What are you saying? What does that even mean?" Brenda's tone sharpened to a near-harsh edge. "It means that if you decide to stop trying, I will maintain things just the way they are between us. Intimacy confined to just 4 times a year. And if you choose to flounder, I'll find my own satisfaction elsewhere." Frozen in disbelief, Logan felt his heart pounding as the reality of her words crashed over him. Slowly, he turned to face her, voice raw with hurt. "Is that truly all this has been about?" he whispered. "Have I been losing weight solely for your approval? And now this is your repayment?" Brenda's face softened momentarily. "Logan, I never meant it the way you think. I was just scared. Scared for you." "Scared for me?" Logan repeated, each word growing louder with escalating frustration. "I've battled this for 2 years, shedding 118 pounds by following every rule you set. And now you're threatening to withdraw your love if I can't keep that up? It feels like you've been using me as a bargaining chip, turning every bit of intimacy into something to be won over." The weight of betrayal and manipulation flooded Logan's voice as he continued. "How could you treat me like a project, something to fix? I've worked hard to look after our future, and now it feels as though you're just pushing me to jump through hoops for a little affection." Brenda reached out to calm him, her touch gentle as she tried to bridge the distance between them. But Logan recoiled sharply. "Don't touch me, Brenda," he snapped. "I can't accept being manipulated anymore. You've pushed me over the edge." The air grew thick with tension as Logan's voice cracked. "You've made me doubt everything, Brenda. I can't help wondering if you've been planning this betrayal all along. waiting for me to slip up so you could make your move. Brenda's expression faltered, her face paling as she sputtered. Logan, no, I would never. How am I supposed to believe you now? He demanded, bitterness lacing every word. How can I trust that this wasn't always lurking in the back of your mind? That you weren't simply waiting for me to falter? You'd rather punish me for not being perfect instead of acknowledging all I've done for us? He continued, shaking his head as pain and anger intermingled. Brenda moved closer, her hands trembling. Logan, please, I'm sorry. I truly didn't mean to hurt you. I was desperate, and I lost my way. I just wanted what's best for you. I wanted you to be healthy. Logan's tone grew colder. You don't get to say you're sorry and expect everything to go back to normal. I've sacrificed so much. Loved you, restricted myself, fought for our future, and now you treat me as if your promises are disposable. I simply can't trust you anymore. Without another word, Logan stormed out of the kitchen, leaving Brenda stunned and heartbroken. In the solitude of the garage for an hour, Logan's mind churned with doubts about the loyalty that had crumbled beneath him. Although he couldn't pinpoint any concrete proof of infidelity in the recent past, his trust was irreparably compromised. Every unanswered question loomed large as he wrestled with the idea of what Brenda might do next. Eventually, he returned to the house where Brenda sat at the kitchen table, visibly distraught. With a calm yet resolute tone, he declared that he would end the diet, no longer bound by the strict conditions she set. Our intimacy will only be as you dictated, 4 times a year, or perhaps not at all, he said firmly. Now the decision lies with you. But if you ever choose to cheat, understand that there will be severe consequences. I will not remain married to someone who is unfaithful, and I will be watching every move carefully. After setting his boundaries, Logan informed Brenda he was leaving for a while, yet promised to be home for dinner, suggesting he could even order food if she didn't feel like cooking. With the air heavy and emotions tangled, he left the house while Brenda was left with the crushing reality of her actions. Tears streamed down her face as she wondered if their love could ever be salvaged. Later, alone with his thoughts, Logan's suspicions about Brenda's fidelity intensified. When he returned home that evening, he found her asleep on their bed. He quietly retreated to his home office, locking the door to ensure his privacy, and began transferring call log data from 2 CDs onto his computer. His plan was simple: to focus first on calls from the month when he'd started the diet, September 2008. Sorting the home phone calls by number, date, time, and duration took him an hour and a half, a painstaking process that only deepened his uncertainty. Just as he was making progress on Brenda's cell phone data, he heard the faint sound of the office door handle rattling. Swiftly, he saved his work, concealed the evidence, and logged off the computer. Opening the door, he was met with Brenda, disheveled, red-eyed, and overwhelmed with remorse. In a trembling voice, she admitted, "Logan, I'm so sorry. I was a fool, selfish, and I deeply regret the hurt I've caused you. I never should have interfered with your diet or our rules." Logan, though still stinging from the betrayal, managed to say, "I forgive you, but only for what I know now. Everything I sacrificed over these 2 years now hangs in the balance." He reminded her of the price he had paid, including the emotional toll of withholding intimacy just for her benefit. Yet he confessed that he had reached his breaking point. "There's a huge truth we need to address. The unanswered question is tearing me apart," he said. "I need to know, unequivocally, that you've never been unfaithful in the past and that you won't be in the future." Brenda's eyes brimmed with regret as she looked at him, hoping desperately for another chance. But Logan's heart was heavy with doubts he couldn't shake. Slowly, as she returned to the bedroom with quiet resignation, the damage was done. Trust had been shattered beyond repair. In the following morning, when Logan woke up, he found Brenda curled up beside him. Sensing his arousal, she reached out tenderly, apologizing once more while craving closeness. But Logan, still hurting, remained firm on the boundaries he'd set. After showering and heading off to work, he left Brenda alone, her whispered mutterings of regret echoing in the empty rooms. At work, Logan confided in his boss about the turmoil unfolding at home. Ever empathetic, his boss encouraged him to take a few days off, from Wednesday to Friday, to pursue clarity, even handing him a contact for a reliable electronics distributor. Grateful yet determined, Logan later visited the distributor's store and, with assistance from his boss's referral, purchased 3 high-end bugs with long battery life designed to monitor conversations for hours. Returning home later that evening, Logan was greeted by Brenda's attempt to restore some normalcy. A home-cooked dinner of lasagna with garlic bread and sweet green peas, his favorite comfort meal. He thanked her politely and excused himself to watch television. Brenda, even as she tidied up the kitchen, maintained a careful emotional distance. When it was finally time for bed, Brenda retreated to the bedroom, and Logan seized the moment to install a bug in their home phone to capture every conversation between them. Though hesitant about tampering with Brenda's cell phone, he proceeded with a shaky resolve, completing the task with as little risk as possible. Next on his list was the daunting challenge of placing a bug in Ethan's phone, a task that wasn't straightforward, but his surveillance on Brenda's phones gave him hope. Logan even pondered that Brenda might resort to using a payphone for secret calls, spurring him to cover every possible base. Recalling that Ethan often worked alongside a well-built blonde during Wednesday mornings, Logan saw an opportunity. One day at the gym, he noticed Ethan's phone resting on a towel, roughly 10 to 15 feet away from where Ethan and the blonde were engaged in conversation. Risking everything, Logan snatched the phone, slipped away to a nearby men's room, and discreetly inserted a bug. The hardest part was returning the phone to its original place without suspecting eyes. He slid it carefully across the floor until it landed perfectly near the towel. His heart pounded as he hurried out of the gym, believing he had accomplished his mission. Moments later, his cell phone rang. It was Brenda checking in, worried about his whereabouts. Logan brushed off the conversation, then spent the next 10 tense minutes monitoring the bug's audio from his car. Soon, a call came through on Ethan's phone. Logan could hear Ethan answer and greet Brenda. They discussed meeting at Ethan's house, but Brenda, cautious now, mentioned that Logan's suspicions had grown and it might be time to step back. Although Ethan wasn't too happy with this, Brenda explained that she'd felt that the early spark in their encounter signaled something more, and that for the sake of avoiding further trouble, they should pause their meetings for a while. Yet from Logan's perspective, every word confirmed his worst fears. The revelation that Brenda had been involved with Ethan for over 2.5 years, meeting on every Wednesday and during her golf day Fridays, plunged him into a vortex of pain, anger, and a thirst for revenge. Over the next 2 days, Logan set his plans into motion, forging new contacts and preparing for the weekend. The bugs he'd planted began to reveal more about Brenda's movements. She had a scheduled beautician appointment on a Friday morning. In a conversation with her beautician, Brenda spoke about a desire for a fresh, alluring hairstyle that would distract Logan from her betrayal, even mentioning plans to buy provocative lingerie. Each word stoked a mix of heartbreak and fury in Logan, driving home the painful reality that their love had been built on lies. That Saturday afternoon, the doorbell rang. Brenda answered it to find a woman named Brenda, introduced as a friend of Logan's, who said that Logan had invited her to hang by the pool. Surprised, Brenda reluctantly agreed to show the newcomer the way, only for 2 more women, Vanessa and Isabel, to arrive shortly after, each claiming they'd been invited, each sharing a connection with Logan. Vanessa, who had worked with him for years, and Isabel, who had once served him at a local restaurant, added to the complexity of the situation. They moved onto lounge chairs by the pool, applying suntan lotion and eventually deciding to get an all-over tan by removing their bikini tops. As the tension mounted, Brenda hesitated and considered asking the guests to leave. However, with Logan having extended the invitation, she felt caught between duty and the growing strain in their relationship. Soon after, at around 3 p.m., Brenda, a different Brenda this time, perhaps reflective of her inner turmoil, sat beside one of the guests and began speaking. She revealed that she worked as a bartender at Grisham's, and that earlier in the day, Brenda had given Logan an ultimatum. Logan, having come by for drinks, had laid bare every detail of their situation, leaving Brenda to grapple with the enormity of her mistakes. Logically, Brenda realized that Logan was now suspicious, and if he discovered even one extra instance of infidelity, he would impose a harsh punishment. He intended to reserve intimacy with a select group of women for every offense. Before Brenda could even begin to speak further, the guest, also named Brenda, cut in by declaring that Logan's plan might include questioning Brenda herself. Any lie, she warned, would result in Logan taking one of the women as a countermeasure. The three women exchanged looks, each aware of the volatile mix of emotions that Logan's revelations had stirred up. In a final attempt to preserve some intimacy from the wreckage, Logan stepped out to the pool deck. There, he gave a few playful remarks about their tans, joking about whether they might give him a hard time, and even teased Brenda about removing her top. With the mood shifting unexpectedly from somber to sardonic, Logan then pressed serious questions. "Have you ever cheated on me in our marriage?" he demanded. Brenda's immediate denial was met with further pressure as he mentioned Ethan by name, and once again she said no, though her eyes betrayed her inner turmoil. Confusion and anger warred inside Logan as he laid out the evidence he had meticulously gathered, showing regular patterns of calls between Brenda's phone and Ethan's number. At one point, he even made Brenda call the number to verify its identity, leaving no room for further denial. As the painful evidence unfolded, Brenda was rendered speechless. In that tense moment, Logan introduced the three women, Vanessa, Isabel, and another friend, to serve as a testament to the connection she had forged outside their marriage. He explained Vanessa's long-standing work association, acknowledging her clear affection, and recounted Isabel's quiet admiration, spurred during their visits to Grisham's. Though Logan confessed he had harbored no ill will, choosing never to act on these attractions out of respect for their union, the betrayals now eclipsed his past affection. Brenda's face crumpled, her eyes welling with tears, as Logan, with raw hurt and determination, revealed that the relationship had reached a point of no return. Despite his intense love for her, the combination of pain, disgust, and seething anger had forced him to declare that the only viable outcome was the end of their marriage. In a moment filled with finality, Logan handed Brenda divorce papers, as he had discovered that she worked as a process server by day, and apologized repeatedly, pleading with him to reconsider. But Logan, fixated on the memory of countless betrayals, explained that her actions over the past 2 tumultuous years were the proof he needed. The court hearing was scheduled for the following Friday, and although he had spoken of pursuing relationships with the three women, deep down he wasn't truly ready to move on. Instead, he would seek solace in new avenues, perhaps finding healing in unexpected companionship. After sending the three women on their way with assurances of more to come, Logan began gathering his belongings. With suitcases packed and emotions in tatters, he prepared for a temporary stay at a hotel until either he or Brenda officially vacated their shared home. In the kitchen, Brenda, left alone, collapsed into tears as the weight of their broken promises sank in. Logan, pausing at the doorway and looking back at Brenda's defeated silhouette, said in a voice that cut like a knife, "I warned you, Brenda. I told you about the consequences of your choices, and now I'm not sure I can ever see you the same way again." Brenda's eyes widened in terror and confusion. "What are you talking about, Logan?" she stammered. "When you said you'd canceled on Ethan the other day, I sensed something was off, but I never expected all of this. I never imagined Elaine Wallace would come into the picture." Logan nodded slowly, his expression darkening. "Yes, Elaine Wallace. Ethan had pursued her after you supposedly canceled on him, and he thought he could slide into another woman's life without any repercussions. But then Greg, Elaine's husband, stepped in. And believe me, Greg and his crew didn't let Ethan off easy. They beat him badly. His face became unrecognizable, with broken ribs and missing teeth. It was brutal, Brenda. And the worst part is, Greg gave me the chance to get even. He told me to hit Ethan, saying that he owed me for what you did. I didn't hesitate. I did my part, right where it hurt him." Brenda's face drained of color as Logan continued, his voice nearly detached with cold finality. "Now, with my newfound fitness and resolve, I need someone who matches me, someone my equal. I'm leaving, and I'll find my satisfaction elsewhere. When the police questioned me about what happened to Ethan, I maintained that my Friday routine on the golf course provided ample alibi, confirmed by my brother and friends. And as for our future, we're to meet in court this coming Friday." With that final declaration, Logan offered Brenda one last icy glance before turning away. Brenda, shattered and desperate, gathered her things and left for her mother's house within 2 frantic hours. Over the ensuing 7 painful months of divorce, Brenda sank into a deep depression, her spirit battered by regret and isolation. Contrary to everything he had proclaimed about exploring relationships with other women, Logan never truly pursued them. Instead, he eventually found peace in the unconditional companionship of two German shepherds, a stark reminder that the truest love might be found in the most unexpected places. Dear listeners, we hope you found today's story as intense and thought-provoking as we did. If you enjoyed our narrative, please take a moment to subscribe, like, and comment below. Your feedback keeps our community growing and our stories alive. Thank you for listening.